An effort to put a parcel of land in Hyannis in conservation moves forward. It's turtle stranding season. Find out how many turtles are washing up on Sandy Neck Beach. And a project to house individuals with disabilities looks to expand on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, December 15th, 2015. I'm Sarah Mantle. A portion of land in Hyannis could soon become conservation land. The Land Acquisition and Preservation Committee voted to support the move during its meeting this week. While the town would own the land at 238 Old Colony Road, the Barnstable Land Trust would hold the conservation restriction. Executive Director Jackie Barton says the project has broad support.
The Board of Directors of the Barnstable Land Trust has approved this. Basically, they've approved holding conservation restrictions on any land that's acquired by CPA funding if the town so requests us to hold that conservation restriction. As part of that, though, they have also asked for a small sum of money, $1,000 in each case, that can be placed in Barnstable Land Trust's Land Management Fund as part of our, if you will, legal defense fund. And this will be the first one going before the town council with that request. We're not asking for that gift or whatever we're calling it to be made retroactive, but moving forward, this is the first one that we've asked for, and hopefully the town council will approve that.
The conservation restriction will next go before town council for final approval. Well, it's turtle stranding season, and despite above average temperatures, sea turtles are stranding on Sandy Neck Beach. Natural Resource Officer Sean Cordes updated the Sandy Neck Board this week.
In the town of Barnstable so far, we've had 10 for the year, which is low, but the water is still really warm too, so we'll see how that goes. Big thanks to the O'Neills. They've been a great help with supplies and going out on patrols and everything else. So far it's going well. Most of the turtles that have been stranding have been alive.
And if you see a turtle stranded, do not attempt to return it to the water. Contact the town's Marine and Environmental Affairs Department. The Growth Management Department is working to produce a housing production plan in an attempt to increase the town's future affordable housing initiatives. The public was invited to give their thoughts at 2 recent listening sessions. Housing Coordinator Arden Cadron says public input is critical to the project.
We had an okay turnout. We had about 17 people in Hyannis and 15, I think, in Osterville. The Jen Goldson, the consultant, got some good feedback. She's working now on compiling it, and we'll get a report back. And then when the new year comes, we're hoping to do some additional outreach, probably smaller than the full listening sessions, but we would like to try to get some additional outreach. So if you have any ideas about how to go about that, what groups we might want to contact, or how we can try to drum up some extra participation. And that's it. So, we're probably going to delay the schedule of the housing production plan a little bit to get some additional outreach. It was supposed to be completed by March. So, that'll probably be delayed a little bit so we can do some additional outreach in January.
Housing Committee member Paula Braggie attended one of those sessions and says efforts to increase housing will require getting the public on board.
And what I bring to myself and to bring to Barnstable, that housing choice helps the residents. And it really, to me, is a matter of zoning and density. And I'm amateur. I'm amateur at this, but I believe zoning has to, get settled, and density has to be created. And also because we're going to have a large number of people who will be renting, and a smaller number, I think, buying. So we have to get a balance. That's my impression. But I'm new at this. I'm a novice. But what I felt in the meeting, there's a range of need to be educated in the process of housing availability, And also I came out not in my backyard.
The Growth Management Department will continue efforts to get more public input in the new year. To learn more about the project, you can visit the town's website and click through to the Growth Management Department. Living Independently Incorporated hopes to expand a local housing project that allows adults with disabilities to live on their own. Attorney Peter Freeman talked about the project during this week's Housing Committee meeting.
Independently Forever, Inc. is a 501c3 nonprofit that was created from folks from the Riverview School, which you might have heard of, to basically help provide housing that is independent, and they live in condominiums or apartments that are run by the Life Inc. as nonprofit with social services, but they live alone like young folks do. It's for young men and women who have come out of the schools and all of that, so that they can live with some supervision, but not in a group home, which is why it's called independent. And they work in the community, and they're good residents. So in a nutshell, for zoning purposes, obviously that's why we did it as a 40B comprehensive permit. And it was originally going to be with 16 units, 4 buildings. Those were built. And even years ago, there was a big demand for this type of product or housing. And in order to be a resident, naturally, you have to be eligible based on the learning disability criteria.
It says in order to move forward, they would need a permit modification.
So there's 20 units presently. The last building, rather, a building E at the top, is 1-bedroom units. So because there's such a strong demand, we actually had the idea to build one more building of 4 units, and that was the one, or is the one, down near Lincoln Road Extension. So we went to Growth Management and spoke with Joanne Buntage and staff, and she was supportive. She actually said, you know, since you have more space and there appears to be such a strong demand, why don't you propose, it can be phased, but why don't you propose a modification that will allow you to really build out the site, is the way she put it. And so that's why we said, well, thank you, we probably will have the demand. We probably will build just the first one first. But that is why we actually changed it to propose 2 new 4-unit buildings. I believe they're all proposed to be 1-bedrooms, right, Ed?
Right.
Yes. Seems to be a demand for that more than the 2-bedroom units. So, in a nutshell, it will take a modification of the comprehensive permit by the zoning board. First step is, because this was supported by the town all along, you're probably familiar with it, the LIP program, the Local Initiative Program, whereby the municipality supports it, and then DHCD issues the LIP, Local Initiative Program, approval, which is basically the ticket, the subsidy so-called, under the Chapter 40B statute. The subsidy is used loosely. It's been supported or interpreted and approved by the court. There's no monetary subsidy, but it's considered an eligible Chapter 40B program. So when we modified the permit a few years ago to allow us to build the 5th building, we first had to, again, go to the Housing Committee, get the town councilors actually to agree on the change in the LIP, and then go to DHCD, which would have to approve the change in the LIP. All of which was quite expeditious. Honestly, it was great. This town has been very supportive all along. And then, ultimately, we go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So, in a nutshell, other than, I think we passed out the pictures. Do you want to pass around the elevations? It would be similar to the building that you just saw a picture of. The roof line and such is a little bit different, but it's a 4-unit building, 2 stories, a portico in the front entrance, and the plans, I think you have them, are there. And these are conceptual plans. They could change a little bit in terms of the final product.
The Housing Committee voted unanimously to approve the expansion. The project still needs to go before Town Council, Site Plan Review, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will talk with Executive Director of the Cape and Islands Workforce Investment Board, David Augustino. We'll find out what's happening at the Barnstable Senior Center with Director of Senior Services, Madeline Noonan. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.